Just turn the heat up high. We'll be dancing on the fire, you and I. Want you to lose control while we let it all turn into smoke.
Hi everybody, it's Kai. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a brand new speed build video. And I'm really excited for you guys to join me here today because today we are going to be building something a little bit different from what I usually build, which are basically family homes and community lots. I decided to try something new and build kind of this mermaid hideout, but I actually wanted to build a mermaid's grotto instead. But when I Google searched on what a grotto is basically usually underwater and also surrounded by cave-like structures. So I didn't think that was achievable, so instead I chose to build or call this thing a mermaid's hideout. And I imagined that basically a mermaid is going on an adventure and then settles down for quite some time, maybe a few days, a couple of days, to this lot, which is a mermaid hideout, before continuing on their next adventure. And I'm really happy with the outcome of this one because I enjoyed building this one a lot, because I got to play around with a lot of debug items and also just colorful ones. And I actually wanted to use only island living and base game, but I didn't end up doing so because I wanted to use the roots. I think they're called roots that came with the jungle adventure pack, where you can hang them off of a building. But yeah, anyways, this lot also has a small hut or beach shack that I imagine that the mermaid settles down. So it is quite small, but it is also simple. And I'm really in love with the outcome because of all the colors that I used, and also this gorgeous lighting with the sunset, and also it contrasts with the blue ocean. But anyways, you can see that I'm working on the structure over here, and I chose to stick with a kind of a neutral color for the wallpaper, which is that brown one and the darker brown that came with the island living pack. And the structure is pretty simple because on the inside there is not much space as well, but I didn't clutter this build a lot because I wanted to make sure that the build works perfectly fine. And besides, it is only for a short-term getaway, so there isn't much clutter. But this hut only fits one sim, so basically it is just a getaway for one single mermaid. But as you can see, I also used a lot of those debug items that came with the island living pack, which are the rock arches, and I'm super in love with them because they look so magical and so different. And I also added in kind of this lagoon section, or a private lagoon, on the lot, where there are waterfalls on it and also a couple of statues here and there. And you can see that I'm starting off with the landscaping, and the landscaping is pretty much my favorite part of the build because it is so colorful. And I also am happy because I managed to use a lot of plants that came with the island living pack, such as those orange ones. I think they're from Debug, where you can switch the swatches. I'm not so sure, but I think they are both in Debug and the normal menu, but I'm not so sure. Anyways, you can see that I also put a lot of those grass plots, which are the textured ones that are compared to the other base game or other pack grasses, which is kind of interesting because it is more 3D in a way. And I also ended up putting kind of this wedding arch. I'm not sure what you call it. Basically, it's the semicircle shaped arch that came with the island living pack, just to make it look like it's hanging from the arches. But I only managed to fit it into one of the arches, which is kind of the grand or main entrance of this build, because for the other arches it wouldn't fit. But also I added a lot of coral reefs and a lot of underwater living things, but not fishes. They are these corals and also those giant disc shaped colorful, I'm not sure what you call it, maybe it's a plant, and also a lot of just reef related items. But I'm super happy with the outcome because, like I said, it's very colorful and also it looks pleasing to me. And I also ended up adding a lot of those tall root trees. I'm not sure what they are, but they are basically for the trees that grow in the sea, in the ocean or something like that. But over here is going to be the lagoon that I mentioned just now, and it's basically a small area of the lot whereby it is kind of this outdoor pool, and I ended up adding a mermaid's tail or a whale's tail. I think it's a whale's tail because there is a head of a whale that belongs to it. If I'm not mistaken, it's in the debug menu, but it is the part where the mermaid sim just chills out. And I will also be adding a couple of floaties, and I also will be adding a swing set in here if I'm not mistaken. But as you can see, I'm still working on the structure over here, and I also ended up adding these roots from the Jungle Adventure Pack that I mentioned, which I think is really wonderful because I really tried to make it look like it's kind of abandoned since it's a rare lot where your mermaid sim goes to, and it's kind of this rare thing because they only go to this lot once a while, so it kind of looks abandoned with all the roots and stuff like that. And I really like the vibes that it gives off. But do let me know what you guys think in the comments, of course, if you like it or not, or if you have any like suggestions for my future builds maybe. And I really look forward to that. But this hut also has an outdoor area for the living room and also an outdoor shower area. So basically the shower area is divided from the toilet, because I imagine that the shower area is an outdoor area where your sim mermaid can rehydrate besides the ocean, and at the same time they can enjoy the view that is out there. And I think it's a really good placement of the shower because of all the scenery that is in this lot. So basically I also added these glass, I'm not sure what you call it, I think it's the glass decorations, I'm not sure what it's called, but I put it on the floor just to make it look like your sim can see also what is going on down there in the ocean. But as you can see, I've also added that kind of this curtained pagoda or something like that, and that will be the outdoor living room because I couldn't fit it in the hut. So in the hut is basically only a bed and a toilet and also a refrigerator, because I imagine that the sim that goes here or maybe just stops by here doesn't really utilize fully the items in this one. So there will only be a refrigerator because it's only a spot where they just stop by and do nothing, just rest and relax before continuing their next adventure. But as you can see, I'm working on the interior over here right now, and I wanted to put that shelf over there, but I ended up changing it with the refrigerator because the refrigerator couldn't fit anywhere else other than this particular corner over here. And I also wanted to make it fully functional, but unfortunately I haven't play tested this build, but when I upload the final version of this build, it will be fully functional, so there's nothing to worry about when you download it. But anyways, I also ended up cluttering this fridge a little bit with a TV and also a kava bowl to make it look more lived in a sense that it's not lived in but it's also lived in, because like I said, it's just a spot where the sim mermaid only stops by and just relaxes. And I imagine that the sim mermaid is also a busy mermaid, so basically he or she doesn't really have time to do anything other than rest at this spot. Like for example, they want to go fishing at this spot. I don't imagine that. I mean I didn't imagine that. But anyways, I also ended up adding a pink bed and also placed a treasure chest next to the bed to make it look like a bed stand or a side table. And I initially wanted to put a proper side table for the bed, but I didn't end up doing so because I don't know, I think the treasure chest looks more logical in a sense that I also imagine that there are a lot of collectibles for this build. Like you see, I placed the vases, the broken vases, and also the pink vase on top of the stool over there, and pretty much just decorated the walls more than the flooring of the hut because I wanted to make sure that the sim that goes here can move around freely inside the hut and also rest at the same time. But anyways, you can see that I am working on the outdoor living room, and I'm really in love with this part because it's surrounded by all those roots that came with the Jungle Adventure and also kind of looks isolated and just really private. And I think that's a great thing because it is kind of open, but it is also kind of a private area. and also ended up adding the wall decorations as well to make it look more floral and just more pretty. But I didn't really know what to pick for the color, so I just ended up going for the pink ones because it kind of looks more logical to contrast it with the red ones over here that you see next to the glass decorations for the flooring, which is the outdoor shower. But for the outdoor shower also, in the end, I will be replacing that bench over there with a chess table. And I also added an art easel because at least there's something to do, even though it's not much. I figured that there will be something to do for the sim, like painting or just practicing chess, since it's only for a single sim in this lot and not two sims. So basically the chess table is kind of this practice thing for the mermaid sim. But anyways, I'm working on the other areas which are not the hut now, and I ended up adding a few chairs and also the beach towel over here, which is part of a shore. I think it's not in the water, but I wanted to make this area over here private also, so it's kind of inside the lagoon space instead of facing outside where the entrance is. So I think it's really nice because it's quite private. And you saw that I also ended up adding those pool floaties for the quote-unquote outdoor swimming pool. And I really like the outcome because it looks very peaceful. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, because I appreciate any feedback and also any just criticism if you want to. But I also ended up adding a giant like ruined ship over here to make it look like it's kind of like abandoned as well, because it crashed into the lagoon and then it kind of like blended it together pretty well with the environment object. So it kind of looks natural, like a naturally ruined boat ship. And I really like the effect that it gives off because it kind of looks, I don't know, it's different from what I usually do. But I also ended up adding this turtle post, I'm not sure what you call it. But yeah, just to decorate it more. But we are going to be approaching the end of the video pretty soon, so I really hope you guys will like this build as much as I did building it, and do let me know what you guys think in the comments, whether you like it or not. And please leave any suggestions, feel free to leave any suggestions that you have, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!